Welcome to the Nerds Cantos.
We're back. We're talking about Ultimate Spider-Man, and we're doing, I guess, chunk 2. The last chunk will be the end. I don't even know if this is even like a good stopping point where we stopped. We just did it because it's. I think it was. I don't remember why I chose this. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I just remember doing it. So here we are. Last we left off, Peter Parker's life sucked. That's the most recap I'm going to give you. Go watch the first video. How do you guys feel about this second half? 47 to, what's it, 97? 47 to 96.
Yeah.
Enjoyable.
Yeah.
Had a good time.
Better or worse than the first half?
I think it's better. I just think it keeps getting better and cooler.
Okay. Yeah, I do think it's... I'd say it's better as well, yeah. A lot more ramped up stakes.
Yes, definitely.
We really start getting into Peter's rogues gallery here.
Yeah,
because before it was literally just Doc Ock and Green Goblin, and now we're starting to really get into more of his classic villains. Even though they don't stick around for that much, but we get into
really? Am I crazy?
We get a little bit of
Vulture.
We do get Vulture, technically. Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say we get a little bit of Vulture. We get a little bit of Sandman. Venom, of course, is the big one, which we'll get to.
Well, we got Venom. We get Carnage.
Yeah, Carnage.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
I don't know why I said Venom.
Yeah. Hey, symbiotes. You know what I mean? They'll do that to
I'm losing it.
Yeah, I mean, we get another Goblin. This one introduces a lot more other heroes as well. This chunk here.
Yes.
I do think, as I was saying, I don't know that it's like where we stopped is like a great stopping. Stewie knows the stuff after the roller coaster has only begun, and so the stuff after this would be impossible to be like, okay, stop right. It just wouldn't work. And I will say, this is, in terms of what we were talking about with the stakes ramping up, I do think this chunk we have read here is a good, Peter Parker's life sucked already, but his life sucks double, maybe triple now. It's really bad now.
People are dying. He's watching people die a lot. A lot.
People die. Jesus, dude, my throat, boys. I should not have eaten all of the food I ate before coming to record this.
You could take a vacuum to your throat.
Dude, I chugged an entire water bottle before turning Discord on, okay? I was like, and I got another one here that I'm already half done. I was like, okay, we gotta lock this in for the video, and I'm fucked up. But getting, sort of the recap we like to do here. This section starts off, the Kingpin is back. And he's here to stay. Basically, that's kind of what this first little arc is about. I think we get a lot of fun stuff here with the Kingpin. I do love that he just like paid a bunch of people and then they let him back into the United States, even though he murdered a guy on camera. And I do like that they bring it up. I like that Peter, in particular, to both Jonah and his history teacher, I think, is like, Kingpin murdered a guy. We have to talk about this. And both of the adults in his life are like, shut the fuck up, you stupid little bitch kid.
Yeah. The teacher was like, we're going to talk about current events. And he was like, all right, well, how about we fucking talk about this?
Kingpin's back. Yeah, dude, his teacher is awful. Where she's like, well, the courts let him. The courts said he didn't do it. And Peter's like, it's on video. We watched him do it. And the teacher was like, well, you gotta trust in the court system.
They suspended him for it too.
Well, no, to be fair, they do suspend him because he's like, you're a dumb bitch. He doesn't say that, but he says something to him where I'm like, I agree with you, Peter, but like, I don't know that you could be he screams at quite a few teachers in this little chunk here. He screams at his English teacher, or I think his science teacher, where he's like, I could be teaching this class in my sleep, and then he runs out of the classroom. So like, he's kind of losing his mind. I mean, he's correct, but he's sort of losing it.
He's cracking under pressure.
He is
for
100%
sure.
cracking under pressure. We also see here he technically gets fired from the Daily Bugle because Kingpin finds out that he owns the wrestling company that technically owns the publishing or the marketing rights to Spider-Man. And so Kingpin starts to like market Spider-Man as a menace, and then he has a friend of his run as I think his district attorney.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And so Jonah starts endorsing this potential district attorney because he's running on the platform of Spider-Man is a menace and we shouldn't have him in our city. And so Peter gets fired because he's like, I think you're a fucking idiot, Jonah. And he gets his I don't know, that happens. He gets rehired almost immediately when great scene. I don't know if you guys I love the scene when Ben Urich goes to interview the district attorney guy, and he's like, so you're friends with the Kingpin? And the guy's like, whoa, we don't call him that. And then Ben Urich's like, all right, okay. Do you know about the existence of mob lawyers? You know that conversation where the guy's like,
yeah,
there are no such thing as mob lawyers. There are lawyers who work with the mob, but they aren't mob lawyers. And Ben Urich is like, is that not the same thing? And the dude tweaks out. But immediately after that, Jonah's like, okay, fine. Maybe I fucked up. Maybe the Kingpin is a bad guy. And then he gets attacked by the Enforcers, who are back. I miss these guys. I can't lie to you. These little glove shittos, man.
No, I really like the Enforcers.
They're fun, okay? I think this is the scene where he, like, I don't know. They're stupid. They're here to, like, beat the shit out of J. Jonah Jameson. And Spider-Man shows up, and Spider-Man's like, damn, I was going to beat the shit out of J. Jonah Jameson. Now I can't. And so he fights the Enforcers. And then Jonah has like a really well written scene where he goes to Peter's porch and he's like, hey, I fired you because I don't like Spider-Man. And I shouldn't have taken that out on a 15-year-old. My bad. Also, he talks about his son, the astronaut, who blows up in space and then is considered classified. So he could never actually find out if his son really blew up or what actually happened to his son. And it's pretty sad. A pretty solid moment for Jonah here. And I think he kind of grows from this moment. It's a big moment, I think.
For real.
Also, Aunt May yells at
I was really surprised. I love Aunt May.
Oh, yeah, Aunt May goes, what she says, Hitler wanted his look back, and then she hangs up on the phone.
Dude, yeah.
Aunt May is goated, but I really like this Jonah moment. It's nice to see that he's not a piece of shit.
Yeah, I really like seeing Jonah actually the character development in the Spider-Man comic and not just hate Peter.
Not just hate Spider-Man or be an Alex Jones podcaster, right? It's really cool that he
we don't
has a character that happens in the games, Nolan, and then obviously the new movies. Which I understand print media doesn't really exist anymore, and so you have to sort of evolve the character, but I think making him a grifter podcaster is just it's stupid nonetheless, but we got Kingpin shit going on. And so we get a lot of good moments in this arc where one of a favorite of mine is Peter just like he's like, all right, how do I take out the Kingpin? I'm just gonna swing directly into his house, or at like a business meeting, and then as this business meeting happening, he just slams into bulletproof glass and fucking falls, and he's just like, damn. Maybe not so.
That's 2-0 on the glass there for Peter.
It's so bad. There's this scene where they not go to dinner, but Kingpin is eating dinner, and Spider-Man shows up, and they have this talk, which I love, where Kingpin is so serious, where he's like, I'm gonna kill you, but before I kill you, I'm gonna kill all your friends and all your family members. I'm gonna kill everyone you care about. I'm gonna find out where you live. And Spider-Man's like, yo, are you hitting on me, Wilson? That's crazy. And then he webs his feet to the floor. In a moment I love, where Kingpin goes, did you just web my feet to the floor? And Spider-Man goes, now why would I do that? And then he fucking leaves. Like, it's great. Bendis is still killing it. We also get Black Cat. That's pretty important here. We get Black Cat, who is
Insane.
she's fucking crazy. Immediately she takes an ad out in the newspaper to tell Spider-Man that they should meet up where they met the night before, where he like tried to catch her and failed because her tits were out. I know that's technically not why he fails. I think that he like trips or whatever, but I'm like, you guys know what I'm saying. And then they meet up for wine, which is like
Underage drinking. It's a crime.
yeah.
Listen, she didn't know, okay? This is all on Peter.
He doesn't know.
Well,
It is Peter's fault. What's bad, what's really bad, I love it. It's a great Peter moment. As like a character, as a growing character, but it's really bad because he sits down and he's like, I shouldn't be here. Me and MJ just like confessed our love to each other. I love MJ. And then Black Cat's just like, come on, you can have one drink with me. And Peter goes, well, I think I could stay for a drink. And they're just like, oh, yeah, like Peter. And I think in his monologue, he's like, I gotta convince her not to do thievery. That's really bad. I have to stay here. And I'm just like, ooh.
I can fix her.
Basically, where you're like, buddy, and she is clear, like immediately from the get-go, she's clearly older. Even before you like learn her backstory and stuff, like she's drawn, in my opinion at least, to look a little older than like Peter and MJ and Gwen and all the other characters who are teenagers. And so you get the vibe where you're like, you shouldn't be here, Peter. But it's okay because Ultimate Electra shows up. And Ultimate Electra is wearing a black leather, nothing outfit. I mean, not that the Electra costume is like great, but it's kind of iconic. And so it's just like, haha, Ultimate Universe. She's naked, but not really. Like she's kind of naked in leather.
Early 2000s, man.
That's what it is. I do love. This is stupid interaction. Elektra is here to kill Black Cat because Black Cat stole a tablet, this mystical tablet that Kingpin wants, and the tablet was owned by this wacky business guy, who, when he talks to the Kingpin's like handler, he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted to work with the Kingpin," and the handler's like, "We don't call him that," and he's like, "Oh yeah, my bad. I wanted to work with him, and I told you guys that I had the tablet and nobody else. And then that information leaked, which means it's your problem." And I'm like, dude, you're working with the Kingpin. You got to shut up and do what they tell you. I'm like, he murdered a man on not live television, but on recording. I'm like, they're going to kill you, man. They don't kill him. We don't ever see him again.
You forgot to mention the funniest part, dude. He fucking hits on Elektra. He sees Elektra, and she's like, she's armed.
Yeah.
She's just sitting there looking all evil, and he hits on her like immediately. It's crazy.
When he goes,
that guy's
it's pretty nuts.
He goes, so what's your name? And I'm like, dude, don't, like, what are we doing? But I really like this arc, and then there's a fun, or I think like a really cool Peter detective moment where he figures out who Black Cat is and then where she lives. And then he's like, well, shit, if I figured that out, then they figured that shit out 2 nights ago. And so he goes to their house, or her like crazy looking apartment, right as Kingpin is about to murder Black Cat. And he hits him. He immediately hits him with a joke I will never forget, where he jumps in the window. He goes, "Man, Fisk, I haven't seen you this angry since the Colonel refused to give up his secret spices." And I'm just like, dude, Peter, you're killing this guy. That's all I gotta say. He's killing Kingpin at every opportunity. I
know.
I fully understand Kingpin. Honestly, I get it. If a little twerp showed up at my house and just started calling me fat with like elaborate fat jokes, I think I would also crash out. But we do learn here he doesn't get the tablet, and they like kind of kill Black Cat. Fucking whatever. They don't get. There's no body, so you're just like, okay, she'll be back later, I guess. But he wanted the tablet for his wife Vanessa, who's in a coma.
Vanessa.
We never see her again.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's the only appearance of Vanessa we see.
Yeah, I guess she dies.
I think she does, because the wolf
the
stuff
thing we're talking about later. Yeah, I was gonna say I think she's dead. So like.
Oh yeah. You're right.
We have neglected to talk about the Peter plot of this arc.
Yeah.
So far, is MJ and her dad Her shitty fucking dad.
Oh,
Yeah, her dad.
Ooh, yeah.
We get more of her semi-abusive, like I don't ever think physically abusive, but clearly a piece of shit father.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he like breaks into their house, right? Because MJ like goes. Is this where
Yeah,
MJ? Yeah.
he
reads
grabs
the
her diary or journal and like reads it, and she mentions some stuff about Spider-Man. She never directly says Peter is Spider-Man, but she like mentions how she was like falling off the bridge, and then that's what sets her dad
Well,
off.
that Peter saved her, like
Yeah,
saved my
yeah,
life.
yeah,
If Peter
'cause
wasn't
she's-
there, I would
Yeah.
have died.
And then he's like, "What is that about?" Great. Another great Aunt May moment here is when he leaves. Him and Mary Jane leave because they're and Aunt May's like, "All right, Peter, you stay here." And then she's like, "Hey, Gwen, we're gonna go take a walk." And Gwen's like, "Why? What's up?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it. We're just gonna take a walk around the Watson's house." And I'm like, "Damn, Aunt May, you're really." You're one of the good ones. Aunt May's like, I'm gonna make sure he doesn't beat the shit out of that kid. She's like, I have to step in if that happens. But yeah, then MJ goes missing because she like runs away and falls asleep in a abandoned warehouse or something. And
Yeah, the warehouse that they always go to.
yeah, they just have this fucking abandoned warehouse they like go to. But cool moment when Peter goes over to like look for her. And Aunt May, or not Aunt May, MJ's dad like tries to hit him or something, and he just fucking like swats his hand away, and he's like, "Fuck you, man! Like I'm looking for your daughter too, you idiot." Peter's not having a good time. The point is Peter's never having a good time. I also think this is the start of like MJ and Peter's relationship kind of having little cracks in it, where like obviously they love each other. And like as Spider-Man fans, we know that they're meant for each other. Like that they're the couple. However, both of them have like severe forms of PTSD, and they're not great at talking about it. And by that I mean they don't ever talk about it. And maybe it's causing some problems. I think it causes some problems, but we'll get into that.
Some huge problems.
We'll get into that one later.
a few problems.
I like this arc. This is my favorite Kingpin. I think Kingpin arc in like the whole of the book.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a nice introduction to Black Cat and kind of Elektra, even though we don't get a whole lot of her. She's just there to
they do lore
try
drop
to
about
kill
her
Peter and
entire
Black Cat.
backstory, but
yeah, they do lore drop her backstory, but she doesn't really say anything. She's
No.
just there to kill Peter and Felicia,
yeah,
or try to anyway.
um,
And she does beat Peter's ass like twice.
She does kick Peter's ass a lot, which is really fun. Oh, also shout out when Elektra first shows up and her and Black Cat start fighting each other. Peter has this crazy inner monologue where he's like, "Should I help them? Should I stop this? I don't know." And then at the end of the monologue, it's like the end of this whole page, he just goes, "Huh, cat fight." And I'm just like, dude, they are actively killing each other in front of you. But yeah, Nolan, what do you think about this this Kingpin stuff? How you feel about Black Cat? And
I loved it. It was great.
okay.
I wanted to know more about what the hell is going on with Elektra and all that, but it's fine.
Yeah, we get some more Elektra later. Never Vanessa though. I don't think she comes back. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure she's gone
I
forever.
assumed since Kingpin's having a little cunnilingus.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. But next we get Hollywood, which is what the arc is called. Honestly, I love this arc. It's pretty simple. Sony is making a Spider-Man movie with the director Sam Raimi of Evil Dead 2 fame and Tobey Maguire. And Peter's not very happy about it. And that's like, the entirety of the arc. It's not the entirety of the arc, but it's the entirety of the Peter plot. Peter is not happy that they're making a Spider-Man movie, and everyone at school is really happy they're making a Spider-Man movie, except for Liz, who hates mutants, and Gwen, who, thinks Spider-Man murdered her dad. It's not great. But Kong, he's an extra in the Spider-Man movie, which is fucking stupid.
He is.
And he does the thing. He says, I think it's a little bit of a different line, but he does there's an extra in Spider-Man 1 who's like, "Hey, look out, it's Spider-Man." And they have Kong basically say that. So, like, I couldn't tell if Bendis liked that movie or not, because he spends this whole arc making fun of it.
They really do make fun of it. I don't know. Maybe it's just like a tongue-in-cheek thing.
Yeah. I mean,
because the movie does take from this book a lot of like this arc specifically.
Well, I mean, you know, obviously we talked about last episode that the movies and a lot of Spider-Man stuff is, you know, the spiders at Oscorp and blah blah blah. You know, Green Guy Harry's childhood best friend. Like, there's a lot of, you know, stuff taken from Ultimate Spider-Man. So maybe I don't know. I don't know what Bendis was thinking, but in this version, in this universe, it's not about Green Goblin. It's about Doc Ock. And so we see some, like, fucking SHIELD agents making fun of Doc Ock because his ex-wife is a consultant on the movie and she's getting paid, but he doesn't get paid any money because, like, he's a genetic illegal mutation. And he, like, snaps and breaks out of prison and then is like, I'm just gonna kill a bunch of people because Doc Ock is fully insane. And him and Peter fight.
He's on Rikers, and he can control his arms, which are on the Triskelion. Which
he can. They don't have to be on him anymore,
insane
or even
upscale.
near him. He can just do it, which I think is cool.
Crazy work. I love that.
We'll get into Ock later. They fully explain that stuff later, so we'll probably get to that in episode 3, I guess. But we kind of just this whole arc is sort of this, and then it's just kind of a crazy fight because him and Spider-Man and Ock fight on the movie set, which is obviously great for the movie because they just start filming it. And then Ock kidnaps him and takes him. He gets him into a plane, and then just like tortures him for an entire. She just like rips some teeth out, and he like beats him in this plane, and then Spider-Man escapes, lands in Brazil, where he beats the shit out of Doc Ock, and then catches a flight home. Because Aunt May's on vacation, so he's got to get home and he's got to beat Aunt May there in time, which I think is a fun little. I mean, that's a classic Spider-Man story. All right, insane work that he got sent to Brazil. By the way, I'm just like that's.
Yeah, he had to stow away in the cargo department to get back to.
Yeah,
I think it's. Yeah,
Jersey.
I don't remember.
He goes to Jersey.
Yeah, it was Jersey.
Because he complains about how bad it smells, I think.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he lives in New York City. But, like, all right, Peter. But while that is happening, MJ comes over to the house because she thinks Peter's there, but obviously Peter's fighting Doc Ock. And so Gwen is there, and so Gwen and MJ kind of have this moment, and they turn the TV on, and they both watch Doc Ock beating the shit out of Spider-Man, and MJ, like, runs out of the house tweaking about it. And so that's kind of the moment where Gwen is like, Peter's Spider-Man. And she, like, goes into his little basement place, and she finds the outfit. And so when Peter gets home, Gwen has a gun on him. And she's like, I'm going to kill you. You killed my father. And Peter's got to explain to her, like, I didn't fucking kill your dad, man. Like, they caught the guy who killed your dad. And Gwen, like, apologizes. And they become great friends. And then, like, the three of them have this, like, little bonding moment. And he tells him about his spider sense, which I guess if I remember correctly, in the scene, MJ's like, you have a spider sense. And he's like, yeah, I have a spider sense. And I'm like, you never told her that? That's, like, important, man. I mean, I guess you don't have to, but, like, that's, like, one of your 2 powers. I don't know. An observation I'm making. That's all I'm saying. I like this arc a lot, though, guys. This one's fun.
It's wonderful.
It is a very wholesome arc if you remove the Doc Ock stuff. You know, it's nice to see
being an insane maniac.
Yeah, it's nice to see Peter and Gwen make up, even though
we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Listen, Gwen has some real good character development here. It's great character development that's been needed. She doesn't do a lot, you know. Sometimes Gwen's not really in the book that much, but when she's in it, she's great. And speaking of Gwen, let's talk about Ultimate Carnage, guys.
Whoa.
Yeah, we get Spider-Man essentially goes to Kurt Connors because he gets, like, shot by a cop, I think, or he gets stabbed or something. Not shot by a cop, I think it's stabbed by, like, some fucking jobber ass villain.
Wasn't it like the damn guy that was like
it's
like
Ultimate
trying
Gladiator.
to steal the adamantium? Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, it's Ultimate Gladiator. the Daredevil villain.
Also an insane upscale. Gladiator did not have all that.
But he like goes to Kurt Connors and he has this moment where Kurt like looks at his blood because Peter's also super sick because he's like web swinging while it's raining or no, sorry, that comes in a minute. My bad. But he has a moment where Kurt's like, let me, you know, he checks out his blood and he's like, holy shit, your blood's fucking crazy, dude. Peter's like, oh, crazy, like I've got cancer and I'm gonna die. And Kurt's like, no, crazy, like we could solve like cancer with it. And Peter's like, oh damn. And so, you know, Dr. Kurt Connors, a guy everyone should trust with their genetics. You know what I mean? I mean, what a great example of a geneticist, you know? But he basically, he asked permission to use Peter's blood and try to fucking cure cancer or something.
Yeah.
Which the only reason Peter says yes is because his dad was trying to cure cancer. Peter's like, oh my god, my dad tried to cure cancer. Like, yeah, you could use my blood. And it goes wrong from there. Because this
heinously bad.
This guy, I like Kurt Connors in this. Like, I don't think he's a badly written character by any means. But I'm like, first of all, if you turned yourself into a lizard, you gotta retire. That's the end of your scientist career. But if you're gonna keep being a scientist, what you don't do is get Spider-Man's DNA and then mix it with an unknown cancer suit made by his dad that you know went evil because it was on the news and Eddie Brock is not here anymore and neither is the cancer suit. I guess Peter never told him it was the cancer suit. But I think you could put two and two together when your protege and the cancer suit go missing and then there's this big gooey purple guy on the news. That's all I'm saying. All right.
He does put two and two together. Remember at the end of the mark where he catches Peter?
Like, oh, it was the same thing. And I'm just, whatever. So Kurt, fucking Dr. Connors makes Carnage.
He also does this on a college campus laboratory.
He does a college campus laboratory with a guy named Ben Riley. He does it with a guy named Ben Riley, who's a black man.
What was that about?
Well, you know what's next, Nolan? We'll get to it. Well, yeah, I'm not even going to tell you. No, the Ultimate Clone Saga is literally the next arc that we get to read, so you'll get it. You will get to see that shit. It's actually pretty good, but I don't know. He makes Carnage. It fucking breaks out, and because it starts off as this like little baby thing.
Yeah.
Which is what they see it as, and then it breaks out and it starts eating people. And it like mummifies
immediately
them.
Eats a security guard. Yeah. Like immediately.
And it starts growing and you see that when it grows, it's like there's like a couple pages where it has like some of Peter's memories, but it's like incomplete. And so
it's like a melted human. It looks like a melted person who's slowly growing their flesh.
And so Peter or not Peter, but the Carnage thing goes to the Parker house because it sees the Parker house and it's clearly it wants to eat Peter, which they say later, but like clearly that's the vibe. Is it wants to either be Peter or eat him. And what does it find there but Gwen Stacy? And so, you know, in your mind, you're just like, oh, there's no way they're gonna do that, right? And then they do it and he eats Gwen Stacy. And she's dead, and that's just it. She's just fucking dead. She just dies. She gets eaten by Carnage.
On the front lawn.
Oh, and Aunt May finds her. Aunt May finds her mummified husk on the front lawn in a truly haunting scene where she just screams, "Not again!" And I'm like, oh man. And Peter shows up, and it's a fucking fantastic sequence where Connors shows up at like 4 a.m. to like warn Peter about the Carnage symbiote, and Peter just kicks the shit out of him for like murdering his sister. He just beats the shit out of Connors, and before he can like keep going, the Carnage symbiote jumps out, and they have a big fight where Peter's basically like, he tells Connors, he's like, you need to learn how to kill it, I'll stall it. And then Peter just realizes like, never mind, I'm just gonna I'm gonna kill this thing because it's not alive. It's not like a thing. I mean, that's what Peter says, and I agree. It's like a weird,
Yeah,
goopy alien.
Artificial
yeah,
life.
because when
Yeah.
when it first pops out of the bushes right next to this house, it like morphs into Peter's face. Like it
Yeah.
shows him his exact face and starts trying to talk to him. And yeah, Peter immediately loses it and just starts beating the shit out of it.
Yeah. He ends up with no costume. He ends up dropping it in a smokestack, and it's a pretty tense fight scene. And I think Peter says that the face it makes is like it was my father's face, which like sure, Peter, but I think what you mean to say is it's you when you're 25. You know, like I don't think it was your father. It's clearly made out of your DNA. So like, at least that's my takeaway is that like it's his face. He just calls it his father's face because that I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Sure.
then he really lays into Connors, right? He's like, you fucking dumb ass, shitty scientist, piece of shit. And then Connors turns himself in. He like goes to jail, or he goes to the prison or whatever, and he's like, hey, I think I killed some people. And I'm pretty sure that's the last we ever see of Dr. Kirk Connors. So I think he's rotting in jail.
Yeah, notably though, his partner
Ben Reilly.
doesn't do that. I'm not calling him that. His partner doesn't do that,
No.
and he goes back to the lab and he steals a sample of Peter's blood.
Yeah. Which Clone Saga, but we'll get to that next time. We will not be talking about that now. But Rip, I mean, Kirk Connors isn't dead, but he's essentially gone forever. Thank God. Terrible scientist. He did two things, and they were both awful. They were both detriments to society. Nolan, what do you think about Ultimate Carnage?
Shit horrifying me. Sorry, my dog is losing their mind right now, so I was trying to mute myself, but I was crazy. I was actually taken aback with how Gwen Stacy dying so abruptly, especially after her arc of finding who Spider-Man is, and I fully expected there to be a romance with her as well. Never happens.
Nope.
She's just dead.
Listen, yeah. Carnage eats her, and she's gone. I mean, listen, that's what happens to Gwen Stacy's, I guess. Feels like a little too soon. Feels a little mean, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a little too soon, but it's fine.
yeah,
It was.
I do have a few problems with this arc. That what you said there is a little too soon, in my opinion, to get rid of Gwen. My second big problem is big waste of Carnage. Okay, listen, I'm a big symbiote fan. I love Venom. I like Carnage a lot because he is literally everything that villain should be, like a Spider-Man villain should be. He's just an insane psychopath who wants to make Peter's life the worst thing imaginable. And I really like that. And I think it's just kind of a waste to turn him into like a melty blob person who just kills Gwen Stacy and dies.
No, I agree.
It's just a Venom arc, but a little worse in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I really like this arc. I think this arc is great. But I do agree where I'm like, Carnage? I don't know, like I don't know if it is. Now obviously the Ultimate Universe is very different, so I'm not saying you have to do the same thing. I'm just kind of like, this is, we were talking about this last episode, but I think this is the arc where you can kind of start to tell that Bendis doesn't really give a shit about the symbiotes.
No, he really doesn't.
I don't know that he likes those goopy little alien guys. I also think, to say a little about Carnage, I think it's interesting that in the main universe, at least, Carnage is like just a serial killer, which you don't really see a lot with Spider-Man villains, because most of the time he fights like a guy who accidentally turned himself into a lizard, or a guy who wants to rob a bank but is made out of sand. And so it's kind of fun to have regular Carnage to be like, no, this is a guy who just, like you said, Sue, it's like, this is a guy who just wants to fucking kill people. That's it.
Just a fully cracked.
And he's got an alien. And you're like, oh shit, that's bad. And then in this, again, this arc is great. It's super well written. But Carnage itself is a little odd and never comes back. Venom doesn't come back.
That's all we get of Carnage.
We do get more Venom. but we'll talk about that later. We're not going to talk about that now. This, however, I will say that the most important thing about this arc is the fact that Gwen Stacy dies, because not only does Gwen Stacy die, but Peter is going to talk about this for the rest of what will be at least this episode. He does not get over this, and I'm not saying he shouldn't. By the way, I mean, just you don't see that a lot in comic books. You know, most of the time, 2 issues later, a character will be like, "All right, yeah, I gotta go fight Shocker, haha," you know, and then he'll forget about it. But in this, Peter's like, "I think I'm done." A big moment where he's like, I'm gonna fucking quit. Like I can't
MJ doesn't really get over it either. Like,
no, MJ doesn't get over it.
No.
Like the immediate next issue is Flash being a dickhead about Gwen dying, and like MJ kind of loses it and like smashes him over the head with a textbook.
No, because he says crazy shit.
He is an asshole.
They're clearing her locker out, and it's like MJ, Peter, and they're clearing the locker out because like all of that stuff now belongs to Peter and Aunt May, who by the way they move. That's kind of it's not really that important, but they get out of the house where 2 of their fucking family members were murdered. Good for them. They're clearing this locker out, and like Liz shows up, and Liz is like, man, that really sucks. Like Liz didn't like Flash or no Flash, but even Liz is like, oh yeah, that's terrible that this fucking girl we know died. And then Flash shows up, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but he's basically just like, man, what a fucking loser, dude. Like,
he says free stuff. You're giving out free stuff.
Yeah, and then MJ literally MJ like launches onto him, and like Liz tries to drag MJ off, and then Kong is trying to drag Kong out of there, and Peter goes in and he tries to drag MJ off, and then a teacher shows up, and Peter accidentally like elbows the teacher and sends her fucking flying across the hallway because he's Spider-Man, and so they all get detention, and which I love. It's sort of like a Breakfast Clubby kind of situation where you're like, oh, maybe they'll get over their differences. No, instead what happens is MJ just yells at Flash because she's like, you know what it is, you fucking loser, you liked Gwen, you wanted to ask her out and you didn't know how, and you're a fucking bitch. And then Flash just runs away because he's a little bitch, which leaves like the rest of them. And I love this fantastic moment with Kong, where Kong is like, you guys don't have to be that, you know, you shouldn't be like a dick to Flash. Like, he's not that bad. And Peter just fucking lays into him. Peter's like, no, Flash fucking sucks. Flash is an absolute piece of shit. He's one of the worst people ever now. He'll be 10 times worse when he's an adult because he thinks he'll own the world. And then Kong is like, well, what about me? Am I a bad person? And I love it where Peter's like, yeah, because you hang out with a piece of shit that you're so much better than. You know, it's a big moment for Kong, which we'll see more of later. But then Kong asks Peter, what about you? What kind of person are you? And Peter says, I'm nothing, which is just like, he's not having a good time. And then MJ goes, what about Spider-Man? Is he a good person? And then Peter runs out of the room, which I'm like, now Kong already, we've discussed this before. Kong already suspected that it was Peter. I'm like, you just gave it up. You just told him you were Spider-Man, bro.
Straight reported him.
Yeah. But Peter runs away. And then this is kind of where he has this moment where MJ's like, Peter, you're a great person. The world needs Spider-Man. Like, you could take a break, but you need to stop beating yourself up over this. And Peter's like, fuck this, I'm done being Spider-Man. But then he runs into a bunch of dudes who are just about to like kill and rape like this girl. Like, they're just like gonna just do this in the middle of the alleyway, and he can't help himself, and he swings in and he beats the shit out of them. And then he like gives the lady her stuff back, and she's like thanks him, and Peter's just like, why am I like this? And the issue ends, and you're just like, oh, this isn't great. Like, this isn't fun.
He also freaks out on the guys. Like, he is justifiably angry. He holds them up against the wall and he forces them to apologize.
Yeah.
He calls them like the scum of the earth and stuff. Like, he's really like fucking laying into these two, which again, they were gonna like murder and rape. They have like a knife, and their dialogue is like, get ready to fucking die. And I'm like, dude, it's just a random girl in an alleyway, man. Like,
yep.
Really serious shit. But you know what's not serious is the Peter and Wolverine crossover, boys.
Oh my god, dude. Talk about statutory rape, bro.
Yeah, so first of all, a couple things here. First, it's never good when your comic book arc opens with the writer drawing, or I guess, obviously Bagley draws it, but the writer writing in a little image of him choking out the assistant editor who came up with this idea in particular. you know you're off to a bad start. And then basically in this story, Peter wakes up in Wolverine's body, and Wolverine wakes up in Peter's body. Which, like, could be a fun idea for a little crossover story. But as Nolan, you just mentioned, Wolverine kind of spends the whole thing trying to sleep with Mary Jane. Which is weird because he's like 200. And she's 15. And then Peter...
Bro doesn't even have a driver's license yet, bro.
No.
It's just,
And then Peter just like cuts his limbs off a couple times, and they like regrow, which I do think is like a kind of a funny bit.
Yeah, he like cuts off his finger every time he opens up his claws.
And he's on the phone, and then when he's on the phone, the he'll snicked, and then the phone will break in half. But essentially, Peter gets arrested as Wolverine. He calls Kitty Pryde from like the prison, and he's like, "It's me, Peter Parker, but I'm in Wolverine's body. You need to fix it." Because he's like, Peter the whole time is like, "I don't know what mutant bullshit is happening right now, but you guys need to fix it because I have to go to school or I'm going to get suspended." And Wolverine does not want to go to school.
Dude, and fucking Kitty laughs about it. Dude, it's so bad.
Kitty's like, "Oh my god, Logan, that's so funny." And Peter's like, you're fucking destroying my life. The only worthwhile moment from this arc is at the very end of it, when they switch back and like basically they reveal that Logan Wolverine kept hitting on Jean, and so Jean was like, "If you do that one more time, I'm gonna put you where you most want to be." And so
no, it's the opposite. The last place you want to be.
Okay. No, I saw it. Is it? Okay. For some reason I thought it was the most.
I swear it was. It was like
is.
a lot.
You're right. It was.
Okay. Well, either way, she's like, "I'm gonna mind whammy you," which I think is the term that she or Spider-Man uses. And so he ends up in Peter's body and blah, blah, you know. But it's a great moment, which me and Sui have talked about for years, where Peter gets into her face, and like the rest of the X-Men are there, and he gets into Jean's face. And he goes, "You know why people hate mutants? It's not because you're mutants. It's because..." And then it's just a bunch of, they're called Grolixes, but the comic book swears where you're not allowed to see what words he's actually saying. And it's like 10 of them in a row. And as he leaves, I think it's like Colossus is like, "What did we do wrong?" I'm like, "You're a fucking idiot." I'm like, "You shut up, Colossus. You know, you mind whammied this guy. You switched his brain." Because Jean's like, "I didn't think this would happen." And I'm like, "Do you not think about your actions?"
Yeah, man. Oh my god. Jean goes, "I didn't mean to involve him." Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
You just mind whammied him without looking where he went. Like, you didn't pop Cerebro on and go, "Oh, he's in Spider-Man's body. That's probably a bit of an issue. I should probably..." Nah. You didn't think to do that? Because, by the way, we're not supposed to think about this arc this much, but it's part of the reason I hate every other Ultimate character that is a Spider-Man, because I'm like, you have to have known where you put him because you're a telepath. So when you pick his mind up and then put it in a new body, you have to know that. You can't not know that. I hate him. I hate the Ultimate X-Men. All right, after that, we get the Fantastic Four. We get a little mini Fantastic Four arc where we meet Johnny Storm, which I like a lot.
Johnny Storm.
I like this one a lot. There's not much to say. Nolan, how do you feel about Johnny? This is your first introduction to the...
I like him.
How about
I think he's a homie.
How about the rest of the Ultimate Fantastic Four?
The Maker?
Yeah.
Looks like a nerd. He looks like a fucking nerd.
Yeah, that's Reed Richards, dude. He looks like a nerd every single time.
Reed Richards coded. But yeah, basically they tell Johnny he's got to go to school, and so he goes to school, and he goes out with Liz, and then he accidentally flames on, and Liz thinks he's a disgusting, dirty mutant, and he's like, "Oh, okay, I will leave and not go to school anymore." And then him and Peter and MJ kind of become friends, but then MJ's like, "You should go cheer him up as Spider-Man." And Peter's kind of not trying to be Spider-Man, but he's like, "Okay, fine. Like, I'll go cheer him up." And then they go save a couple people from a burning building, and it's this fun little team-up event, and they're both kind of like, "Hey, superhero homies," which is awesome, because I like their friendship a lot in the main universe, and so you kind of get to see it in the Ultimate Universe, and it's actually nice. It's not bad. Then right after this, we get the Doctor Strange crossover, where Peter is being possessed by a demon, and so he's like going on this hot date with MJ, and then it's not a hot date with MJ, and you get a whole flashback where like Jonah sends him with Ben Urich to interview Doctor Strange, who's like doing some shit, and so Spider-Man whips in there because he's like, well, this is a little suspicious, and then it turns out that Doctor Strange is like fighting a demon man, but Spider-Man doesn't realize that, and so he like tries to prevent it, and he gets possessed by the demon, and haha. And also they've met before, but Spider-Man had Doctor Strange erase his memory because it was like such a fucked up event, and Spider-Man's like, man, fuck this shit, and he just leaves, and that's it.
He also forgets his mask.
He does forget his mask, yeah, and they're like, oh, he forgot his mask, but because he doesn't even want to be Spider-Man. He only did this because he was like, I'm right here, and something is happening, and he has this whole thing. Because he mind whammied himself via Doctor Strange, where he's like, I know I've met Doctor Strange before, so I feel like I have to go in there.
And this is like an awful dream too. Like all his villains are trying to kill him, and like the demon's wearing MJ's face the entire time is torturing him and like trying to kill him as MJ. It's not good.
No, and the only like real important thing that happens is obviously Ultimate Doctor Strange is here, and then also Peter is in his basement or in his room just crying when MJ comes over for their hot date that they were supposed to go on. And she's like, hey, Peter, it's raining. It's just me out here. Like, we're supposed to go on our hot date. Are you there? And she could hear him crying, and he just doesn't do anything. And so they don't go on their hot date.
And he's like remembering what the demon said to him as MJ at the same time.
You're gonna die.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. No, it's not good.
Yeah.
And again, this is another thing in their relationship where I'm like, yeah, you can gotta tell things aren't not going so well. And it's neither of their faults, but they're 15 and both of them have severe PTSD. Peter especially. Speaking of severe PTSD, gentlemen. Well, I guess real quick, Nolan, how do you feel about Ultimate Doctor Strange from this little?
I didn't really get a lot of his character other than he's like doesn't really know everything about his craft. He's clearly talented, like he's very talented, but he ain't a pro.
He is, and this establishes, which is a little odd, Ultimate Doctor Strange is the son. Like, his dad was Sorcerer Supreme, and now he is kind of coming into... He's like Doctor Strange Jr., which is neat.
Yeah.
It just never really come up, because I don't think there was ever an Ultimate Doctor Strange book, and I'm pretty sure he dies in Ultimatum. But
don't worry about Ultimatum. We'll get to that later.
But we're gonna know quite a bit about Ultimatum when we get to it. But regardless, next arc... Big PTSD arc. It's Hobgoblin time. Okay.
Oh yeah, dude.
Which means Harry Osborn comes back. And he immediately goes up to Peter. And he's like, hey, Peter. You know I used to date MJ? Peter's like, what? He's like, yeah, we dated. You would get a flashback when they kissed each other.
You get a small flashback. It's after the spider bite. And it's just Harry and MJ having a conversation. And Harry ends up kissing her. And yeah, that's just it for a little bit. And then when Harry eventually does come back to school, he starts hanging out with MJ more. And Peter's tweaking immediately. The last time you saw Harry Osborn, it was on the White House's lawn where he said, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill all of you.
Yeah.
Then he was taking the Shield custody.
Right. And Peter very badly I will say, to give MJ some credit here, he very, very badly communicates this to MJ, where he basically just grabs her in the school hallway and he's like, you have to stay away from Harry. And she's like, yeah, but why? And he goes, because I need you to listen to me. Why don't you ever listen? And he just runs away. And I'm like, I don't know that was great.
He's crashing out. No.
I don't think it's his fault by any means. I think he's a 15-year-old who has lost a lot and is completely losing his mind. But I'm also like, Peter, you gotta like tell her, which leads to the thing. So essentially, MJ kind of takes that as a breakup. MJ's like, oh no, he broke up with me, and people are like, well, whatever, fuck Peter. And she's kind of like, hey, no, listen, his uncle just died, and his sister just died, or his adopted sister kind of situation, and his friend Harry's like stuff was kind of crazy. But then Harry goes up to MJ, and she's like, or Harry's like, hey, just so you know, Peter, he's Spider-Man. I know you know, and I know. He killed my dad. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And Harry's like, he had to do it. I don't blame him. He needed to do it, but he killed my
You
dad.
also, I was gonna say, you also forgot before that happened. Peter is in his science basement. He's freaking out because everything that's happened, and now Harry's back, and he's kind of like sulking. And then fucking dude, Harry shows up in his basement like this, like a fucking supervillain.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Well, then he's like, he like hugs him, and he's like, Peter, we have to be. It's me and you against the world, Peter. And Peter's just kind of like, all right,
he like
man.
opens his little like foot locker where he keeps his suit, and he's like messing with his mask, and he's like,
Yeah, it's pretty
He's like
bad.
Doing evil shit.
But we get
it's so bad.
another really bad conversation because MJ finds Peter and she's like, Peter, it's okay. I understand it. You had to kill him. And Peter's like, kill who? What are you talking about? And she's like, you killed Norman Osborn. I get it. And Peter just at this point he just crashes out where he's like, he's in Shield custody. I didn't fucking kill Norman Osborn. Stop talking to Harry Osborn. And then he runs away. But then to talk about the Harry stuff, because this shit is insane. There's this guy Shaw, who we mentioned in the first part. He's the guy who did like Norman's dirty work. He like almost ran over Peter.
Tried to hit Peter with a car.
Yeah, and we haven't seen him since. And so Shaw shows up, and Shaw basically hits Harry. He hits him with cellar door, which is his code phrase from a long time ago. We saw, and he takes him to this place that is Osborn had, where it's got all the shit in it. It's got it's the scene from Spider-Man 2, technically Spider-Man 3, where Harry finds like the secret goblin lair, and he's just like, you can hear Norman fucking screaming in the back. It's basically that. But Shaw's like trying to condition it, but Harry's not having it because Harry doesn't really remember. Via his like conditioning, Harry's like, I don't really know. Like, what are you talking about?
On to all of this, Harry is like having hallucinations, like visions of his mom calling out to him and him trying to find her, and fucking his dad screaming at him.
Yeah,
and he's just constantly not having a good time.
There's a scene with Harry and Fury, because Harry was in Shield custody, and you see Nick Fury basically tries to like, Nick Fury's like, we can't do anything else with you. You're 15. You have to go home. And Harry has this moment where he's like, I don't even know why I'm here. Fuck you. And Fury's like, you're here because your dad was a goblin man. And Harry's like, what are you talking about? My dad's a great businessman who went missing. And Fury's just like, whatever you say, kid. Okay, go home now, little buddy. But basically, Peter shows up to I think just yell at Harry or beat the shit out of him for like talking to MJ. And when he shows up, Harry is talking to Shaw. He's like screaming at him because like these are just tweaking. And Peter just goes, "Hey, Harry, who are you talking to?" And then it turns out that Shaw is also a hallucination. And he keeps like the next issue. Shaw keeps yelling at him, and he keeps yelling at him. And Harry's tweaking because Spider-Man's in his house now. And then he fucking goblins out, and he becomes a Hobgoblin, which is just orange-green goblin. And they have a fight that I really love because this Harry is fully insane, and Peter really doesn't want to beat the shit out of his friend, but boy, does he beat the shit out of his friend, especially because Mary Jane shows up to, like, yell at Harry a little bit because she didn't know he was a goblin man, so Peter has to, like, save Mary Jane from Harry, and he does, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. Great moment with Fury, where Fury's like, why did no one tell me that the Osborn kid could turn into a goblin? And they're like, oh, we tested him. It can't be the Osborn kid. It can't be. And Fury goes, I'm not fucking stupid. There's only one person it could be. It has to be the Osborn kid. And so they go and, like, shoot him.
It's so bad, too, because, while they're fighting, Harry's still obviously hallucinating, and Shaw's talking to him in his mind. And eventually Harry just starts screaming at, like, Peter to kill me.
Yeah. It's pretty bad, but S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. They, like, depower Harry. And Peter and Fury have a moment where Peter's like, what the fuck, Fury? Fury goes, I don't know, man. Whatever. We're gonna take him.
They don't like depower him like non-violently. They shoot him like 80 times.
They shoot him with a bunch of with laser beams.
It's like a Hulk they get the Hulkbuster unit or whatever.
Yeah, well, that's what they call it. which I guess is like it's just like a depower ray or something. I'm not sure. But like in their conversation,
Big guns.
yeah, in their conversation, Fury basically hits Peter with the "get over it, kid" and whatever, and Peter punches him, which is like a bad idea. That's all I can say. That's a really
It's a very bad idea, but I don't blame Peter at all.
Listen, I don't blame him. He immediately gets shot. Fury's like, "Stand down, soldiers."
He gets fucking tased. In
Yeah,
the
and
back.
he's like, and then he tells Peter to get the fuck out of here. And as soon as he does that, Fury goes, "All right, cure the Oz." He's like, "I want the secret to Oz on my desk before my birthday." And then he's like, "And I think it's time that Peter Parker loses those spider powers." And you're like, "Oh shit, dude. You shouldn't have punched Nick Fury, you fucking idiot."
Yeah, and to worsen this all, Peter goes back home, and he finds MJ sitting on his porch. They get into a bad argument about the entire situation, and then Peter breaks up with him.
Fucking crash out of the century.
I don't blame him, by the way. Because the crux of his argument is, I love you, I know that you love me, but if we're together, you won't stop being stupid. Which is basically just what he says, where he's like, you won't leave me alone, which is gonna get you killed. Could he be a better boyfriend? Yes, he could like fully explain to MJ why he should be to Harry Osborn, but I get the crash out where I'm like, yeah, I you know what? She is a little stupid. I don't know why she was going to yell at Harry Osborn. I'm like,
They're both a little stupid.
Yeah, that's the point. I think the point is that they're both a little stupid. But Nolan, how do you feel about Ultimate Hobgoblin?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Shit was fucking crazy. The Nick Fury punch thing. Like,
dude, he punched his eye patch.
He punches his eye patch
Yeah.
off. Dude, it's crazy work.
Fuck, dude.
No, I love this shit. We get a great like one issue from MJ's perspective, where they're in class and her and Peter sit next to each other, so that's really awkward. She tries to talk to Peter and Peter doesn't have his. Peter like fucking runs away because he does that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the next issue opens up with her crying in the bathroom and Liz is trying to talk to her.
Yeah, and it's really bad, but then she ends up, Liz like convinces her to go to the mall, and Flash Thompson shows up and he's a real dick, but he's like, "Hey, my hot senior friend over there wants to talk to you. He's kind of into you." And MJ goes over, she talks to Mark Raxton. I doubt you know this, Nolan, but that's the Molten Man in the main universe, who's a Spider-Man villain who is molten. He's like Sandman and Hydro Man, but molten. You know, he's like a metal on fire guy.
Okay.
Yep.
That's only important because Mark Raxton in this universe is in a band called the Molten Man. You know, he never becomes Molten Man. It's just funny.
Bendis.
Yeah, I don't know. But this guy's like, "Hey, come out to one of my shows," you know, because he's like the guitarist or whatever. And they're like a punk band. And they come out. MJ kind of has like a good time, and he's like, "Hey, let me drive you home." So they're kind of having like this good time. And Mark Raxton says something that no man has ever said to a woman before, and that's talking about Will Eisner, the, I don't want to say creator of the comic book, but like the guy who essentially designed what we view as comic books today. And Mark Raxton has this conversation where he's like, "Have you ever heard of Will Eisner? Well, he you know, engineered what comic books are, which is why there are the Eisner Awards, which are like the comic book Oscars, basically. This is a real thing. I don't know why this is in the book." And he like says this to MJ to be like, "I want to be Will Eisner, but with in my band with guitars." And then he's like, "What do you want to do?" And MJ's like, I don't know. She says she wants to be a teacher, but at first she's like, she says this shit where she's like, "I wanted to be an actress, but I think I've hated every movie I've ever seen," which is like, okay, lady, get the fuck. All right, film student or film graduate here, I guess. I was reading that shit and I was like, get the fuck off of my page, MJ. All right, I don't need to be reading this bullshit. Okay. But they kiss, and then she's like, "Actually, I can't be with you because Peter Parker is the greatest man ever, and I need to change myself to be with him, and that's okay." And I'm like, "Okay."
She breaks the kiss, and then he asks like, "What's so special about Peter?" And then she goes on like a 5 to 6 panel like monologue, just talking about how cool Peter Parker is.
Yeah, it's a little absurd. I like this issue in terms of MJ development, and then she just like glazes Peter at the end. I'm like, you don't have to. Like, I don't know, that's a little unnecessary, but it's okay because the next issue we see Peter's perspective of the same day, where he like leaves class and he's tweaking, and he realizes he has this moment where he's like, maybe it's not Spider-Man that's the problem, it's Peter Parker that's the problem, which is how you know he's fully crashing out. By the way,
He's just mad as hell the entire issue.
but we got Ultimate Hammerhead, who's trying to take over for Kingpin because Kingpin's kind of laying low. Kingpin's like, all right, I'm gonna stop committing crimes because, like, obviously, you know, the cops are watching me, and so Hammerhead's here. Hammerhead kills what's his name? Silvermane. Thank you. Another Spider-Man crime boss. And so Hammerhead's kind of like, all right, this is my territory. I love Hammerhead, by the way. Hammerhead is awesome in this. He is just Hammerhead. There's no special differences or anything. He's just Hammerhead. And we basically,
he just has a hard head. That's his thing.
That's Hammerhead. Well, he has a metal plate in his head.
Yeah, it's like a metal plate.
You gotta understand.
It's steel, sometimes it's like titanium.
You gotta understand, Nolan. In 1963, you get a mobster with a metal plate in his head. That shit's crazy, bro. Okay, that's next level villainry right there. Compared to the Enforcers and Vulture, who were the other villains Spider was fighting. So like, yeah, that Silvermane in the original comics is an old man who gets like a mech suit. He's also a crime boss. It doesn't matter. We basically get this big arc where we're introducing a bunch of other characters. So Spider-Man's here to take down Hammerhead, which he does.
Yeah, he like blows up a pier. That's what
Hammerhead blows a fucking pier up, and Spider-Man's like, "Oh, I should show up."
Yeah, Spider-Man swings over, and then Moon Knight kicks him in the face. Moon Knight kicks him in the face, and then grabs his head and says, "Tell me what you've done here, or I'm going to cut your throat out." Classic Moon Knight stuff.
Moon Knight, I don't like Ultimate Moon Knight. I think he's crazy, but crazier than Moon Knight should be. He's got like a little girl altar in his head, and it's... I don't love the stuff that is happening here. But him and Spider-Man fight, and then Hammerhead's there, and then Hammerhead gets away because Moon Knight's too busy being a fucking idiot.
Yeah, because he read the papers and he was like, "You're obviously the bad guy here."
Yeah. Great jokes from Spider-Man. Great jokes on Spider-Man's part, though, where he's like, "You really shouldn't wear white to these superhero things. You're already covered in dirt." And then he's like, Moon Knight throws a moonerang at him or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, thank you." And Moon Knight goes, "Give that back." And he goes, "Well, you threw it at me. It's mine now." It's just like so stupid. But there's a recurring joke every time Spider-Man meets one of these new heroes that gets introduced, where they're always like, "Are you 12?" And I kind of love it because, like, yeah, Peter acts like a 12-year-old sometimes. Then we get this moment where Spider-Man goes to Kingpin because he thinks Kingpin did it. He doesn't know anything about Hammerhead, and Kingpin's basically like, "I want you to take Hammerhead down for me because I don't like Hammerhead, and he's taking my shit." And it's kind of a moral quandary for Spider-Man, where he's kind of like, is it right to take down another villain, but because this villain wanted me to? And so he goes to talk to Ultimate Jean DeWolff, who we haven't spoken about. But Jean DeWolff,
she showed up.
She showed up a little bit earlier.
I think
it's around Carnage, according to my notes, when he fights the Gladiator. Jean DeWolff is
because the cops like try to shoot him, and she's like, "Stand down, you dumbasses," or something.
Yeah. In the main universe, she was a cop friend for Spider-Man, and that's kind of what she's doing here, where most of the police force hates Spider-Man, but Jean DeWolff, she's kind of the Commissioner Gordon. That's kind of her vibe. And so Spider-Man's basically like, "Hey, Jean, should I go take down Hammerhead?" And Jean is like, "Yeah, you should." And Kingpin gave you that information, but Hammerhead's a piece of shit. So you're doing the world some service, which I do like that Peter makes this distinction, where he does mention where he's like, "I don't really do that." He's like, "I don't really track people down. I find them committing crimes and stop them." I really because that's important. For me, that's an important part about Spider-Man, where he's like, he's not, he's just kind of existing, and then he has to great power, great responsibility. So if he sees a crime, he has to stop it, but he doesn't have to hunt it down. That's not what he does. He's not Batman. Regardless, he does go fight Hammerhead. And then we get this big thing because Hammerhead is trying to kill Ultimate Shang-Chi and Ultimate Iron Fist, who are like best friends or something.
They were
and
cool.
Shang-Chi kind of like runs, I guess he runs like Chinatown or something. Like he runs like the Asian area, as what he says. And Hammerhead's trying to take him over. And so you have this big ass fight. And while this fight is happening, you see that Jean DeWolf makes a phone call. She makes a phone call to Kingpin. And she's like, hey, Spider-Man's going to do it. We got him. So Jean DeWolf, dirty. A crazy twist, by the way. That's not what happens in the original comic books.
Yep. Also, Black Cat shows back up to save Peter from a grenade that blows up Shang-Chi's little restaurant.
Yeah, Black Cat shows up. Then they all go to Hammerhead's hideout, and a big fight ensues because Peter swings in. He like hears some gunshots, so he swings in there. Black Cat swings in there because Black Cat's like, we should like get together, and she keeps calling him like her boyfriend, and she's like really weird. And Peter's kind of like, damn, I mean, I'm not dating MJ. Maybe I could date Black Cat now, you know? Which you're just like, Peter, it's been a day, man. It's been you broke up with MJ a day ago, bro. But then when they swing in there, they see that Elektra is there, hired by Kingpin to kill Hammerhead. Shang-Chi and Iron Fist are there to beat Hammerhead. Moon Knight is there to beat Hammerhead. And now Black Cat and Spider-Man have kind of swung in there. And so Hammerhead convinces Elektra to come over to his side. And Black Cat wants to fight with Hammerhead because she wants to take Kingpin down because Kingpin killed her father. And so then Spider-Man just webs them all up. Like, as they all start to fight each other, he just webs them all up. And he's like, all right, I'm calling the cops. We're going to let the cops handle this. He, like, makes fun of all the superheroes because, like, Shang-Chi and Iron Fist are like, dude, let us out of this. And he's like, nope, I don't know who the fuck you two are. You two seem kind of crazy. I love that because they do seem kind of crazy.
He also goes to a Black Cat, and then Hammerhead pays her off, and she agrees.
Yeah.
Dude, that was insane.
It's really fucking stupid. I mean, it's not stupid. It's great. I kind of love it. But I love that Spider-Man kind of takes the high ground here. He's like, you're all fucking crazy. You know what? He's like, every single one of you has a problem, especially Moon Knight. But it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter because they all break out, and the fight ensues. And at this point, you know, Spider-Man called Jean DeWolf, so the cops show up. And fucking hilarious moment where Elektra she breaks free first, and so she's fighting Spider-Man, and then kicks him out the window, and he lands on the cop car, and they're like, "Is he dead?" And Peter's just like, "Ow, man!" And then back in the room, I'm trying to remember the exact events, but Moon Knight gets stabbed.
Yeah, Moon Knight does get stabbed.
And they take a photo of his face because Hammerhead's like, "I own you."
Yeah, Hammerhead takes a photo of his face. I think. Yeah, all that happens, and then Hammerhead's the one that gets thrown out next, right?
Yes, it's Elektra stabs Hammerhead. Moon Knight throws a Moonerang into her head, and then Peter finds Black Cat, who basically is like, "Oh, my bad. I kind of fucked up. I shouldn't have been working with Hammerhead. Let's make out." And so they start to make out, and they're about to have sex. And she takes his mask off because he's like kissing her and he's letting it happen. And she sees that he's like 15. And she goes, "Oh my God, I thought you were older." And then she barfs on his dick and runs away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Peter is just saying.
Peter just stands there. He's just like mid makeout where he's just like, oh.
And also, Moon Knight gets captured because he was still bleeding out. From the stab wound he got from Elektra.
They send him to the hospital or something because they're basically like, this guy's fucking, or the cops or whatever. They're like, this guy's like dying. Like he's gonna die. But yeah, I mean,
Shang-Chi and Iron Fist just fuck off.
Yeah, they just leave. They don't wear costumes, bro. They're so lame looking. Like I hate the way that they look. Like Iron Fist especially is just a white dude. Like
I think Shang-Chi is wearing like
he does have the tattoo, but Short,
think
she's
he's
got a
wearing
little bit of a thing on. He's got aura where like Hammerhead shot at him at that one point. And he like caught the bullet with his hand, and it was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But like Iron Fist is just kind of here. I don't know. How do you feel about these guys, Nolan?
I like them.
Yeah.
I like their attitudes. Yeah, sure, they're not flashy looking, but I enjoyed their presence.
I mean, their attitudes are fine. You know, I think everyone in the Ultimate Universe is a bit of a dick as to how I enjoy them. But with Moon Knight, it kind of works.
I mean, these guys are very like Lethal Protector vibes. So
yeah, they're very. I don't know. It's fucking. They're whatever. I do enjoy this arc a lot. It's fun to see more King. It's fun to see Kingpin like doing stuff in the background with Jean DeWolf and trying to like coordinate Spider-Man to do bad things. You know, I think that's a lot of fun. But it's a fun arc. I like that Peter has basically. He just kind of gives up being Peter a lot in this arc. Like he just runs out of class all the time. And him and Aunt May have this big fight where she's like, if you do this one more time, you're out. Like I'm not gonna sit here while you like treat me like a piece of shit. A great Aunt May. I mean, like, stand up for yourself, Aunt May, because Peter is just being a complete asshole, and he's just abandoning Peter Parker, all because Gwen Stacy died, which is great. I don't know. It's I think very well written character development that is slowly building. And building. And then we get the annual, where Kitty Pryde calls him Spider-Man, and she's like, "Hey, you're Spider-Man. I'm Kitty Pryde. We should go out." And Peter's like, yeah, sure. And you kind of see the Kitty Pryde's a little crazy. She might be a little rude for me to say. I don't know. I think she's a little crazy, guys.
No, she's crazy. I'm not a fan. I mean, like, I'm a fan, but then... I mean, no. I like her. I like her, sure. But Peter needs to get away from this bitch.
Yeah, I should mention they start dating because Peter's basically like, I broke up with my last... They have this conversation where Kitty's like, are you dating anyone? And Peter's like, oh, no, not really. And she's like, why not? And he's like, well, I can't really date anyone because, like, the people I am near die. And she's like, oh, well, I'm invulnerable, so I can't get hurt. Peter's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so that's the reason they start dating. He's really rebounding off of it. He broke up with MJ like a week ago, and he's just immediately... He went to Black Cat to Kitty Pryde. And every time Kitty Pryde shows up, she has this thing where she's like... She'll say something, and then Peter will react to it somewhat negatively because he's like, whoa, that's a little crazy. And then she'll be like, please don't break up with me, please don't break up with me, please don't break up with me, please don't hate me. And you're just like, all right... Okay, I get. You know what I mean? At least as the viewer, as this like a guy who's trying to know what Peter's feeling, I'm just like, ugh, dude, this is something.
It's a little rough. I do think it makes sense though because she lives in a housing co-ed dorm with a bunch of fucking psychopaths.
They're all crazy.
So
they're all insane. I don't love like the whole time she's got like people every time they're on the phone, people will try to like get into a room to like take a peek at her, and I'm like, Professor X, what kind of fucking school are you running, bro? It's okay though, because we got Ultimate Silver Sable, a classic Spider-Man villain that everyone loves, and she's working for Roxxon, Silver Sable and the Wild Pack, and Roxxon is hiring Silver Sable and the Wild Pack to kidnap Spider-Man because Spider-Man has saved his company too many times now, and you see this. There's like a little story where Spider-Man beats up Omega Red. Who was attacking, like, Omega Red was, like, down with Roxxon, the capitalist bastards, and Spider-Man's like, yeah, but you can't, like, blow a building up, and then he beats him up, and so Roxxon's like,
he drops a fucking forklift on him.
Yeah, he does throw a forklift on him, but he's like, what is this? Roxxon's like, what is this Spider-Man guy? And so Silver Sable tracks Spider-Man down to the high school, and they find him in an alleyway, and so they barge into the alleyway, and they kidnap the first guy they see there, and it turns out to be Flash Thompson, who was eating chocolate.
Dude, it's so bad. It's not just Sable doing it alone. She has like a little
The Wild Pack.
gang of mercenaries, yeah. And they tase this guy. They tase Flash, and they tie him to a chair in like a decrepit warehouse.
Yeah.
And they start beating the shit out of him to try to prove he's Spider-Man.
And then he gets out. He like effectively hits Silver Sable, he kicks Silver Sable, I think, and then he runs away.
Yeah, he just lined back.
They don't even get to keep him, man. And there's a whole thing where
They're
there's
awful
like
at their job.
Flash Thompson like tells the news, and they make like a Flash Thompson TV special, and he like makes fun of Spider-Man, and it's a whole thing. But I'm just on the fact that he was eating chocolate in which in my mind, either A, those chocolates got a little something in them, you know what I'm saying, boys, or he was originally supposed to be smoking something, but characters aren't allowed to smoke in Marvel. So I'm thinking they might have had to change it to eating a chocolate. Because who the fuck who runs out of high school to eat a chocolate bar in the alleyway? Like,
Dude, you didn't have designated chocolate bar time?
no, dude, no, I didn't. But Pete basically beats up he just beats the shit out of Silver Sable and them, which I do love, where they try to fight him, and he's like, guys, I've got spider powers. Because they're all normal people. So he's just like, you can't do anything to me. But they do end up tasing him, because he picks up their phone to call the head of Roxxon, and his spider sense goes off, and he's like, "Oh, that's weird, whatever," and he hits the phone, and it's a taser, and so they kidnap him, and he has this moment with Roxxon, where Roxxon is like, "All right, you're doing some shenanigans," and Spider-Man's like, "No, you fucking idiot, I just save people." And Roxxon's like, "Okay, work for me."
I was gonna say we also get some Peter Parker stuff where MJ finds out Peter is dating.
Oh yeah,
dating an X-Men.
Kitty, yeah, because it's on the news or whatever.
Well, that was after the Deadpool stuff.
Well, that's
No,
on the
it
news,
wasn't.
but
That's
because
too
they fight like this guy from Maryland together.
Yeah.
Or is that later? I don't remember if that's later. It doesn't matter.
That's later.
Yeah, my
She
bad.
finds out at the school. I was talking about the
Oh
school.
yes, because Kitty comes.
Oh,
and
where she hangs out.
with
Yeah.
Peter after school, and everyone is like, "Oh my god, Peter's got a hot date." Either way, getting back to Roxxon, Ultimate Vulture shows up, and so also Shield is here because Roxxon tried to run Spider-Man's fingerprints, and that automatically signals Shield, and they're like, "Hey, why is someone trying to run Peter Parker's fingerprints?" And so Shield shows up, or they watch him. Sorry, Shield like watches Spider-Man beat the shit out of Vulture, which is a fun fight. I liked Ultimate Vulture. He's just like
We
a
also do
mercenary.
get a little bit of Sable backstory, like I think like
Dude,
7 or so pages.
I don't think she comes back.
Which were
so...
cool. Oh, that was
It
cool. It
looks
was
like
like
a
a
little-
different art.
Yeah, they did like
But,
some
like-
weird, different art style, which is fun. I shouldn't say weird, but it's just a different art style. But
Yeah, but like Sarah said, she does not come back, I believe.
yeah, I don't
So
think
it's
so.
just kind of-
So it's just kind of like, okay,
Right.
here's. We
That's
also get
weird.
the Roxxon backstory, because it's like once upon a
Yeah.
time there was a kid named Silver Sable. Once upon a time there was a kid named Roxxon. Once upon a time there was a kid named Peter Parker, and you're just kind of like, all right, we're just trying to spice it up. You just didn't want to have Peter and Vulture fight for an issue, whatever. At the end of the day, the reason Vulture was hired to take out Roxxon was because Roxxon had fired this guy, the Tinkerer, and Nick Fury finds him, and he's basically like, "You're gonna work for me, or you're gonna go to fucking jail forever." And the Tinkerer is like, "Okay," and Fury goes, "What do you got made?" And the Tinkerer goes, "Well, I got these Slayers, which I guess are supposed to be Spider Slayers. They will be Spider Slayers later. I like this. It's a fun little arc of kind of just like a week in the life of Peter Parker. Nothing too crazy happens in it. Although I do like Ultimate Vulture. I think he looked like Vulture, so that was cool.
Throwing a bunch of grenades.
Yeah, he
He
threw
killed one of the
grenades.
Wildcats.
Yeah, that fucking
Yep.
wild. Yeah, one of them died, and they're like, "You killed him," and Peter's just like, "Man, this isn't my business." But
Yeah,
after
I
this,
do.
yeah, Stewie.
I was gonna say, I do like the arc. I do think it's a little. I just don't like the Roxxon thing.
No, the Roxxon thing's
I think it'd just be
weird.
better if it was just the like Silver Sable scene
Vulture.
going
Yeah,
after him.
and they see Peter's face, which I'm
Yeah,
just
they
like,
unmask
dude,
him
how many
immediately.
people are gonna unmask? I know they don't know his name, and it's only 2005 or whatever, so like, the cameras aren't as abundant and aren't as good as they are today. But I'm just like, how many people are gonna take his fucking mask off? It doesn't matter. And the next arc, we get Ultimate Deadpool, everybody.
I don't want to talk about this one, bro. This
Yeah,
shit was
where
dumb
it's
as
the end of the
hell.
video. Deadpool kidnaps the X-Men and Peter Parker, and they're on Krakoa. Now, if you're an X-Men fan, that means something to you. If you're not an X-Men fan, whatever. But in this Krakoa,
Marvel Rivals map.
that's true. It is a Marvel Rivals map. But this Krakoa is like an island owned by this guy who runs a TV show where they hunt mutants on Krakoa. And so you've got Deadpool and all these crazy
It's
metal...
Genoshan prisoners, like the people they kick out of Genosha.
Yeah. So all that matters is they're going to hunt the X-Men. So you kind of get this crossover team up between the X-Men, where basically the whole time Peter is just tweaking, because he's like...
Yeah, Peter wakes up after getting tased by Kitty because Deadpool has like fucking... It's like fucking doppelganger chameleon
powers,
technology. Yeah, he gets tased by fake Kitty and gets thrown out a fucking helicopter onto an island.
Hey, listen, there's some great
Loses
jokes.
his shoe.
Because he runs into Colossus first. And Colossus immediately is like, oh, I can't do a Russian accent, but he's like, he must have been a shapeshifter. And Peter's like, no, Kitty tased me, dude. And Colossus is like, dude, she was a shapeshifter. And Peter's just tweaking about it the whole time. And he's tweaking about being on this island because all of the characters are like all the characters are like, we're hunting mutants. And Peter would just be like, I'm not a fucking mutant, man. I don't belong here.
Ugly ass cyborgs are hunting them down.
Yeah.
Have like giant machine guns and like laser weapons. Just the worst day ever.
But basically, they have a big fight. They fight Deadpool. Deadpool's weird. He's like half robot man. His head's...
Yeah, he's like...
Everyone's talking about it on the internet.
The mutants. Yeah, he wants to kill the mutants because they're like superior or something, and he's like upset about that. So he like biologically like fucks him, like his body up, and like turns himself to like a weird half cyborg thing.
Yeah, I don't like Deadpool anyways. This Deadpool's weird. I think whatever.
Mischaracterization.
Sure. They get free though. They go home. Peter thinks he's gonna have to tell Aunt May that he's Spider-Man, and Kitty's like, don't worry, I'll be here. I'll help you out. It turns out Aunt May has been on a date with a friend of hers named Miles Warren, and the date went well enough that she's gonna stay over. Now this never comes up again, but it is important to note that Miles Warren is the Jackal and the creator of Ben Reilly and the Clone Saga in the main universe. He is not important in the Ultimate Universe. I just think it's important to note that this is terrifying to read as a Spider-Man fan. Nolan, you don't like the Sark. Would you care to explain?
Dude, it's just random. Nothing fucking happens, bro. And Daredevil is weird.
Daredevil, yeah.
Jesus, I'm so brain melted from just hearing about it. I hate all this X-Men bullshit that they keep doing. I love the X-Men. It's just so...
The Ultimate X-Men suck.
Yeah, well, I like the one where with the what's his name?
Geldof, dude.
Yeah, Geldof. I like the Geldof stuff. That was good.
Okay.
And it like goes, yeah, the X-Men are weird. Then the Logan stuff is just like, what?
Everything after,
the fuck?
Because the Ultimate X-Men suck. The Ultimate Universe sucks, except Spider-Man. Actually, all of it is terrible, and we'll get into that in a second. But we get a little 2-issue mini arc here with Morbius and technically Blade,
Goated.
But Blade only shows up in the little beginning. I actually really like this 2 issues. You see Ben Urich is like hunting vampires, and Spider-Man's gonna go in and save Ben Urich, but he still doesn't really want to be Spider-Man. But he's like, I have to save my friend Ben Urich, so it's a fun little thing. And Morbius shows up, and Morbius is like, the only thing of note is Ben gets bit by a vampire. Morbius is trying to cure him. Spider-Man's like, I'm not gonna, because Morbius has to like suck the vampire venom out, like the way a vampire would suck blood out. So Peter's like, I'm not gonna let you do that, and Morbius sends him through a wall, which I think is fun. And then Spider-Man, Peter gets bit by a vampire, and then that vampire runs away because his blood is like cursed or something. So tainted, yeah, they call it tainted because it's and I love little reaction from Peter where he stands up and he's like, I'm gonna die, I'm killed me. Yeah, he's like screaming at Morbius, and Morbius is like, dude, your blood is tainted, shut the fuck up and grow up. And then Morbius leaves, and Spider-Man's just like, yeah, I don't think we ever see him again, but like, I love it, it's fun. And then he goes to school the next day, Peter does, and he like actually has a conversation. Like, he has a real conversation with MJ where they're supposed to be dissecting a frog in class, and they've been paired up together. And MJ's mad at him for dating Kitty because, like, obviously she still loves Peter, and like she knows that Peter still loves her. So it's kind of like, what are we doing here? And I don't know. She like comforts him where he's just like, she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And he like takes his shirt down and he's got 2 little vampire bites, and she's like, "Are those?" And then he's like, "Yeah, they're. I got bit by a vampire." And then he just like breaks down crying, and you're just kind of you're like, "Oh, this is kind of sad." Like Peter, he's just losing it, guys.
Doesn't he say like I'm seeing things I shouldn't see
Yeah.
again?
Yeah, where he's
Yeah.
like, "I'm too young for this" or whatever. Like he's just like, "I can't be doing this shit at 15, dude." And then we technically read the second annual, which is where this part of the video will end. Kind of the I'm not gonna say it gets better for Peter after this, but it's not as bad. You know, there's some positivity going forward. So this is kind of the end of Peter's down in the dumps arc. But in the second annual, we get some more Kingpin crime stuff, which will be coming up later.
Mhm.
This is kind of setting big crime stuff up, where we get the Kangaroo, who's trying to get in on the Kingpin's territory. So Jean DeWolf calls Spider-Man, and she's like, "Hey, I need you to go deal with the Kangaroo." And Spider-Man again brings up the thing where he's like, "I don't know that I really like hunt people down, but I'll do it because you're a cop and you're telling me to do it." Turns out Kingpin told Jean DeWolf to do this. Whatever. Spider-Man goes to the Kangaroo, who obviously Spider-Man villain, kicks people, jumps on people. It's fucking whatever. And Moon Knight's there, and then Moon Knight's there, and then Daredevil's there. And this is technically our first time seeing Ultimate Daredevil. He has shown up in a book we skipped called Ultimate Team Up, where Spider-Man and Daredevil meet, but it's unimportant. And Daredevil's an asshole.
Yeah.
We'll get more of him later, but he basically just punches Peter, and he's like, "Get out of here until you grow up." And then they fight Kangaroo. And then the Punisher shows up. And the Punisher just starts shooting at people.
We did a small little snippet of Punisher killing someone in prison.
Yeah, with a tray. Shit was
Yeah,
cool.
he goes in with the tray, and the cops show up, and the cops are like, "How does this keep happening?" And they're like, "I don't know, we took away his utensils." And they're like, "You had to take his utensils away, and he's still murdering people? Get him out of this prison." And then he breaks out of the prison.
Yeah, and he's like, he blows up the little, I don't know what they're in. It was a restaurant, right? Or something. They
Yeah,
blow
like
up the
a
restaurant, but Daredevil and
rocket
Spider-Man
launcher.
are fighting Kangaroo, and then he just starts shooting at Daredevil and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just,
Punisher,
Holy-
clearly another character, and I actually love this, because it's clearly another character who Bendis, in my opinion, does not give a fuck about. Because Punisher doesn't speak, and when he does speak, he's like almost monosyllabic. Like, I think he just says, like, "Die, worms," and that's like all he technically says when he launches a rocket launcher at these guys. But then they fight they beat the Kangaroo, and Spider-Man kind of like tells Punisher to fuck off, and then Jean DeWolf shows up. So Spider-Man kind of swings down there, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Jean, I got the Kangaroo for you." And then Punisher fucking shoots Jean DeWolf and just kills her.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucked up. And then Spider-Man swings up there, kind of beats the shit out of Punisher. And he's like, "Why would you do that?" Because Punisher's an ex-cop in this universe. So he's like, how could you fucking shoot somebody like a cop? And then Punisher's like, "She's dirty." Spider-Man's like, "She wasn't fucking dirty. She was a great person." And then Daredevil shows up. Daredevil's like, "Nah, I can tell he's not lying, Spider-Man. She was dirty. Also, all the rumors are saying that she sleeps with the Kingpin." Spider-Man just kind of swings away sad. That's sort of the end of the Spider-Man part of this story. And then you see Daredevil. Daredevil goes and he grabs Moon Knight. And he's like, "Moon Knight him." Because Moon Knight was there, but Moon Knight got the shit kicked out of him and he like left immediately. Doesn't matter.
He almost stuffed Punisher and then didn't.
Yeah, because he's a jobber. Moon Knight's a jobber. But basically, Daredevil goes to Moon Knight and he's like, "I think we can make a team to do team things." And we'll see that come up later in a very important
No, it's the opposite. Moon Knight goes to Daredevil.
No. I thought it was Daredevil, bro.
Daredevil gets in his apartment. He waits for Moon Knight in his apartment
Yeah,
and
that's what it
jumps
was.
him.
Yeah. I was gonna say Daredevil like
Because
goes
Moon Knight's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"What the fuck?" Because he
Yeah.
takes his mask off while he's going in and sees a devil sitting in the corner and throws one of the moonerangs at him.
Horrifying,
And Daredevil
bro.
just like fucking dead stares him, sit out of the air and says,
Yeah.
"Relax."
Basically, they're gonna form a team, but they mention, I don't remember the exact line, but they have a thing where Daredevil says a thing either to Spider-Man or Moon Knight where he's basically like, "We need to deal with Kingpin," and I bet he's fucking laughing it up right now. And then it cuts to Kingpin. Like, the end is just Kingpin, and it's just him sad because clearly his girlfriend just got fucking shot in the street, and that's it. That's
Yeah, dude, that image of his face when he gets out of bed at like 4 a.m.
yeah, and he's just like sad, and you're just like, oh, am I supposed to feel bad for the
And
Kingpin right now?
I guess we can infer that Vanessa is dead
Yeah,
because
Vanessa's
he's
dead.
sleeping with
Jean
with
DeWolf.
Jean DeWolf. So he lost both his lovers in like the span of like
4 months,
a
maybe.
month.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah. It's this annual is only important for the Daredevil teaming up with Moon Knight thing, which will come up later, and then obviously the ultimate death of Jean DeWolf. Nolan, I think you've heard us talk about it, but one of my favorite Spider-Man story in main continuity is the death of Jean DeWolf, who again was like Spider-Man's Commissioner Gordon. She's not dirty in the main universe.
Yeah, no, she's actually a very good cop. She's one of the only cops that likes Peter.
Yeah.
Aside from Stacy.
So it's a little crazy that she's dirty in this. I think it's fine. She's not in this a lot. Like I don't really know why she's here other than to die and make Peter feel sad, because even though she's dirty,
Hey man, Bendis.
Hey, Bendis shit. But I like this annual a lot. I think the annual's fun.
Yeah, it was good.
And it's nice setup. And I like this section of Ultimate Spider-Man a lot. And I really don't know that we have much more to say here, because the next section is the one where we're gonna have a lot to say. So
yeah,
can't wait.
God.
We'll see you viewers then.